Hi everybody, thanks for joining me again. Today I'm going to talk about one of the questions that I get asked a lot when I'm selling sensors to people, and I give them the option of metal stem versus rubber stem. So today I'm going to tell you what the differences are. Here's a rubber stem and here's a metal stem. So the first thing to note about this is that both tire manufacturers and TPMS manufacturers recommend that anytime that you break a bead on a tire to do either a tire repair or a tire replacement, that you replace the seal, this black little rubber seal here, or it's the stem on the rubber stem, to ensure that you have a good seal, just like they would make sure that the bead around the wheel is clean, and sometimes they use a bead sealer. So the recommendation is that when doing maintenance or replacement, you replace the seal for your TPMS sensor. So this is one of the key, probably one of the top out of the 6 differences that I could come up with. Maintainability is one of the ones that I think for a customer that they need to kind of have top of mind. So how often are you having to replace this seal, and how available is that seal? So on a rubber stem, they can get quite specialized, like Autel. Here's all the different stems that Autel sells. They're all interchangeable with the sensor body, but not every shop's going to carry this because it's proprietary. So there are other versions of Autel that screw in, but these ones have a push button. They're quite common. Lots of shops carry those. You push the button and out comes the sensor. So the body is the same and you can use any stem. However, if you're using a rubber one, that's a very proprietary special stem. They may not carry that at your shop, and they can't replace it. They have to sell you a new sensor if you had a leak in your stem. Whereas here's another brand. I've got Schrader Gorilla, Bartek, Launch, and what are these ones? UPro. So they all look very similar. There's slight differences between them, but it's a fairly universal shape. See if I can get this out of here. There are other styles out there. Came across one that was a Schrader, and it wasn't this style at all. You can see it's 2 flats and the other side's around. The one Schrader that I saw on OE style, which is Schrader makes some pre-programmed sensors that aren't universal programmable. It was a D, kind of like there was 2 flats, this flat and the bottom flat. But there's even a bunch of other styles out there, and different sizes too. So the nice thing about these ones is that seal is replaceable. It's a fairly common part. They're fairly transferable. It's mostly standard sort of diameter of the shaft, because that hole size through the wheel is fairly standard as well. So that's one of the key things, is maintainability. The other big thing to note with this, if you're driving a sports car like a Porsche or something like that that's high speed, not that many people will drive to these limits, but there's different speed ratings. So a rubber stem, now manufacturer to manufacturer, might be slightly different, but for Autel, I believe, they're 210 kilometers an hour for the rubber stem. You can convert to miles per hour if you need to. Sorry, that's my notes there so I don't forget anything. And for the metals, they're 300 kilometers per hour. So I've seen different ratings on different versions. So please don't rely on this. Check the manufacturer of the sensor to be sure that you've got the right rating before relying on anything like that. But metal stems have a higher speed rating. So the install style is different as well, which doesn't really matter for an end user, but it probably speaks a little bit to potential issues or failures. These are really fast. That's what tire shops really like to use these. They pull it in, probably a little less likely to have, as long as they do it properly, use the proper puller. I've seen some shops that end up snapping and breaking the plastic or rubber on this, or any of these styles. They're all the same. pull in and there's a little seal down here, a little ridge. That goes through the hole. Some are thicker than others. Some come with different core colors, but anyway, that's not what I'm talking about today. But the friction fit pulls in really quick, but it's not transferable. So if you pull this out of a wheel and try and put it in another wheel, you shouldn't be reusing the stem. You should be using new stems because you can't guarantee a good seal once it's been pulled in and pulled out. Single use. These you can replace, you can reuse if your stem's in good condition, it's not really corroded or pitted, then you replace this little seal. They make maintenance kits. It comes with a new valve cap, because the caps have, most of them, have a little gasket that's built in there. Not that you should be relying on that to hold air. But the TPMS ones, you can see it's a little bit black in there. It seals at the end of the valve stem. So the maintenance kits come with a cap, the valve core, this piece that comes out in the center here, the nut, and the seal. So basically how these ones install, so you put this through the wheel hole and it gets torqued. It's not a lot of torque. You can actually get leaks from over torquing or misaligning this seal if the hole's a little bit bigger. You can squash the seal too much, or under torquing, not tight enough, then air can get out of there too. So I'm going to grab a tool behind me here. I'm going to take this core out, and then I'm going to talk about a little bit about that. The core colors and the speed ratings, or the temperature ratings, sorry, in a little bit. But the other difference is, for some people, are cosmetics. So if you look at Autel's lineup, I've got rubber come in a 4-pack, the metal come in a 4-pack, or you can actually get the sensors in the boxes like this with metal and or rubber, these style. But these other ones over here, the chrome, the Titan, and the black, are only sold in singles, and I have never seen those come on a sensor in a box like this. So those have to be, if you want 4, you got to buy 4 of these. So they are more expensive. This is the most expensive one, typically twice the price of these ones. And these ones are usually about twice the price of what this will cost you. These are usually pretty close to each other. So some people are interested in cosmetics. You're spending a lot of money on your wheels to spend a little bit more to get the color you want, to try and match sort of the wheel color. Might be important to you, might not. Might not care too much about just seeing a black rubber stem in there. So let's see, what else is there? Oh, failure mechanisms. So early on in the metal stem era, there's a lot of issues with people putting, these are plastic caps that they all come with now, even the black ones. This chrome one isn't, but it's the same metal. So a lot of people would take these are made from aluminum. Most of these, this is the most common metal style. Different look for a different manufacturer. But these aluminum stems, some people would put fancy metal black caps on, or tight, shiny chrome caps. If you get dissimilar metals, you get some galvanic action between the dissimilar metals. And what can happen is that cap can fuse, corrode, and it basically welds itself to the threads. So you go to take it off, let's say you get a metal cap like this metal one here, you can put a wrench on there if you wanted to, or a socket, but you know what's going to happen? This thing's going to snap, more than likely. And then what happens is your core is sticking out. The little pin is sticking out because your threads are gone. This whole part breaks off. So the failure mechanisms on these are a little different. So these rubber cores, they're nice and soft and gummy to start with. Sometimes people put WD-40 or some other lubes that are not so good for the rubber. Some of those things contain petroleum, different chemicals and things that can dry this stuff out a little bit faster. It's also exposed to the elements. So over time, weather, different chemicals you put on your wheels, this rubber can dry out and crack. Usually it takes quite a while, but that's possible on these ones. They get pitted, they corrode. yeah, sometimes they snap off. So different failure mechanisms as well. So that just about sums it up. So just to reiterate, speed rating, higher on the metal than it is on the rubber if you're a sports car driver. Maintainability, which is the seal. Transferability, not transferable. These ones are. For most people, that's not an issue. The install method, sometimes these can crack, the rubber, if they haven't pulled it in straight or haven't done a good job, or you get an old stem. And the failure mechanisms I talked about, and then cosmetics. So thanks for watching. Got questions? Shoot me a message, like and subscribe. I'll try to be making more videos to review sensors and tools for TPMS, for trying to share some information with people, because I think it's one of the areas that people have a lot of questions on and there's not a lot of information. All right, thanks for watching. Okay, so took the core apart, the valve stem. This is the seal, or grommet as it's sometimes called. You can see, and this is the valve core, spring loaded. This is the part, usually if it breaks off the threads, you'll see that thing sticking out, which is the pin that you press to let pressure out of the tire. So different colors. These ones are nickel plated for aluminum valves, and the rubber stems, I've got a bunch of different brands as I was showing earlier. You can see this one's different. It's black and it's brass versus nickel. So brass is okay if you've got a brass stem, but the black is actually a lower temperature. Not recommended for trucks that have higher pressure and heavier loads, can cause more heat. So reds are recommended for trucks. These are 225 Fahrenheit rated, I believe. Check your specifics for yourself. Don't rely on this. And 250 for the reds Fahrenheit. So yeah, hopefully that helps. So a maintenance kit typically comes to everything but the stem. So you'd get a core, a nut, a seal, and a cap. And the idea is that if your stem is so good, you know, you're replacing the components that are, you know, good wear and tear. The seal in the cap, your seal in your grommet, this part that usually has a washer, or this thing that spins, provides the force down when you torque it, and then obviously your valve, which has a seal and could also leak. So those are the typical maintenance kit components there. All right, hope this helps. Send me some questions if you have any. Like and subscribe. I'll try and continue creating more content that should help people. All right, thanks for watching.